Hello, everyone. Hello, Frank. Welcome to our next episode of the Community Open Hours. How's it going, my friend?
Hello. Yeah, all good, all good.
I'm good. Yeah, keep living, keep walking, keep breathing, right?
Yeah, and starting the conference season again next week. I will be at Postgres Ibiza,
Oh, that's a good
and
point.
and end of September in New York, the Postgres conference in New York. Yeah.
That's a good reminder. Another conference season is kicking off. We know like that usually it's springtime and fall time. That's when most of the conferences take place. People are getting back from summertime vacations, and there is a couple of months before the Christmas and New Year celebration comes. That's why when many want to fit a bunch of conferences in. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, just let's do this because we always have. Yeah, by the way, thanks to all of you who have joined us. Say hi, write down your name, say where you're joining from, and what you would like to learn from today. Overall, the topic is, if you read the title, is about migration of Postgres apps to Yugabyte under an hour. We prepared two special apps for you today, and I believe that either you have already used those apps in your real life, or at least you heard about those apps. And those apps were written for Postgres. We will show you how to migrate those apps from start to finish to YugabyteDB, and we will try to complete that. But that's also the place where you can ask your questions regarding Yugabyte and Postgres. Don't hesitate to stop us and ask whatever you're interested in. And also we have an intro section when Frank and we are sharing some news. We are trying to fit into the like 5-10 minutes. Let's give an update, Fred. Let's speaking about the conferences. Where are you heading? Where folks might come across you next?
Yeah, conferences, Postgres Ibiza, Postgres New York, at the end of the month, and that's there. Also, if in the chat some people are used to go to conferences or small meetup, please tell us. We can also go to small meetups in Europe, in US, and it's always good to know where the community is and where the community goes.
Okay, yeah, that's true. And as for me, my next conference is going to be also in September, folks. If you live in Dallas, if you live in Texas, like Dallas, Austin, etc., and your primary programming language is Java, then in Dallas, in the end of the month, this month, we have a Java Conf, big one, cool speakers, and some of the big names in the Java community come meet us. And then in late/early October, we have another big conference in Colorado, close to Denver. It's called oh my god, Dev to Next. It's a big one. If you're interested in architecture, design, optimizations of various applications, whether you code in Java or not, that's also the place to be in. So hope to see some of you there. All right. Let's get to our main topic for today, the Postgres applications, migrating Postgres apps to YugabyteDB under an hour. So why we decided to do this today? Because yes, like almost a week ago, we announced a challenge. Let me share the screen with all of you and talk that through. The challenge is we found 100 applications, like well-known applications, less known applications that were created that use Postgres by default, that run on Postgres. And the goal is to take those existing applications and to migrate them to YugabyteDB. During the migration, we also are striving to use YugabyteDB Voyager, our migration tool, just so that if you already use one of those applications, then you don't want to lose your data. You can use Voyager. The Voyager will move everything, schema and data, to your YugabyteDB deployment. And as for this challenge, yes, like our goal is to get to this bar to migrate those 100 applications as soon as possible, and that will help us to validate the compatibility level of YugabyteDB, because YugabyteDB runs on Postgres, and as a we are distributed Postgres, which means that most of those applications will be quite easy to migrate. You still might need to do some of their optimizations because you are migrating from a single server architecture to a distributed database deployment, but you don't need to rewrite most of the code from scratch. That's for sure. And we want to prove this with this challenge. Okay.
Yeah, the more important is the application code. Maybe you need to think differently about some indexes, but you don't want to rewrite an application that you run already on Postgres for the last 10 years and revalidate everything. You just want to use the same code.
Yeah, that's the point, because we like to we like to build stuff, but also developers are very hesitant to to rebuild an application from scratch, and unless there is a new cool technology that you would like to use. But no, usually
I think it's because it was validated by the usage. Even if we have a good coverage with our tests, the best validation for an application it has been running for 10 years, for example, and you don't want to reset that rebuilding everything.
Exactly. You want to carry on. You already have some experience with your programming language, with your software stack, with your database. You already built that experience throughout the years, and you want to learn more. You don't want, let's say, to learn yet another probably comparable database. You want to carry on by building something, advancing your applications, building something new that you want to get to the next level. And what's cool about this challenge is that we invite all of you to join it. So here is a YugabyteDB Slack channel where you can come, say hi. Then you can pick one of those applications from the repository and start migrating. For instance, let me go to this channel. That's my Slack. That's YugabyteDB open source channel. That's the App Century channel place where we and other community members discuss and take part in this challenge. If you want to see the wrapper with those apps, we already have over 100 apps. Here is a table. Some of their apps have already been migrated. We have the done status. Some of them are in progress. Not every app, we are transparent, not every app can be upgraded. There might be still some limitations. We might not support some of the feature that is, let's say, available in Postgres 16, but we are still migrating to Postgres 15. And the list is very long, right? We have 110 applications. So generally, once the migration, what we use Voyager. And if you take this one as an example, for every application, we provide an instruction so that why there is no instruction? Let me actually. I need to talk to Yogesh. Let's take actually one of yours, hedgehog, right, Frank? If I take this one, here is you will find all the step-by-step instructions that Frank prepared for you. So if you already use this app, you want to see how the process looks like in general, then every app has an instruction. We will make sure why this one doesn't have anything. Okay, so Frank, let me turn over the mic and screen to you. So the apps, what we want to migrate, because you and I, we decided to pick not some random apps. We decided to pick two apps that are quite well known within developer communities and beyond. What's
popular ones, and I've chosen one that is popular and not popular in Postgres. It's probably the most popular application in MySQL, and probably the reason why there is MySQL everywhere. It's WordPress that is used to build blogs, but also websites. And there is a plugin or a fork, I don't know exactly, that runs WordPress on Postgres. And then if it works on Postgres, the idea is that it should run on Yugabyte. And
let's actually show the screen. Let's go to the product page of WordPress. I just want to put the image so that folks can recognize it, because I've never used WordPress, but I always heard about it in different conversations. When a company would need to build a website, for whatever reasons, WordPress was always in the list of various solutions, because that's a platform that you use to build it's well known, it's mature. I think it's reliable.
And today, websites are built with WordPress. For example, our blog on blog.yugabyte.com uses WordPress, and Yeah, and usually WordPress works on MySQL, but there is this PG for WordPress. Let me find if there is a web page
Yeah,
about it.
the fans of Postgres decided to support that database for WordPress. It makes sense. It makes sense. Okay.
It doesn't do crazy things on the database, but of course MySQL is very far from the SQL standard, so they probably have rewritten most of the queries, and that's the idea. It's a project that is not so much active, but I think it's quite used. And now that Postgres is popular, maybe it's a good idea to run WordPress on Postgres, and even better if you can have high availability, because if you build a website, you just don't want to take it down. So my idea is to take this one, and I will take let me just copy
So
paste.
this is a complete fork of WordPress, right? That's not a database plugin that
I think it's a plugin, but there is a distribution with the plugin installed.
Okay.
And there is
Cool.
this is the distribution with the plugin installed, and there is one. I will use the one for local development, so the one that is easy to install in a lab for the demo, where there is a Docker Compose. And the idea, sorry, my browser is a bit slow, but not a big problem.
Yeah,
So in the
actually,
Docker Compose, you have PHP, Postgres, WordPress is written in PHP. You have Nginx to open the web port. And there is a database that uses Postgres. And my idea is to replace that component with Yugabyte.
Frank, try to do this. Try to close your LinkedIn tab where you see this stream, because it might kind of eat your memory and CPU resources. Yeah, it's going to be better. I will be also checking.
Is the video okay?
Yeah, it's okay, but sometimes we will breaking
Yeah.
just for a little while. Anyway,
Yeah.
cool, well-known well-known platform for building websites, and there is a way to run it on Postgres. So the first step that you and I are going to do, we will first start WordPress and the second application on Postgres, right? We will show how it works on Postgres, and only then we will start the migration process to Yugabyte. That's the plan, right?
Yeah. So I
Okay.
just start the Docker Compose for it. And first I will check that it works, of course. So it opens the port 80. Let me just check localhost 80. And it comes with a default. Okay, I forgot a step. You have to run a command to install it. So it's a PHP command.
What does it install?
Just install, creates the
Okay.
tables, everything. So yeah, this is documented in. I just forgot, but it's documented in the repo. So now, if I refresh, I can see the blog there. So the WordPress website. There is. This is a blog post. This is Hello World blog post. There is already a comment. Let me add a comment.
Yeah, that would be nice to do, because once we finish the migration from Postgres to Yugabyte, we want to see this comment on the YugabyteDB end. We want to make sure that it's migrated. Yeah, you need to provide your name and email, I guess, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is set as a required field. Now, like, they will ask you to sign in. Okay.
That's fine. I left a comment there. I don't see the comment. Actually, I thought that it would start with a login page, but
have you cleaned your Docker volume? Probably you are using the volume from your previous runs.
maybe.
Nevertheless,
I think it's root and secret. If not, yeah. So this is the admin part where you create the blog and administrate the blog, and I can see my comment there. I was just checking if yeah. By default, the admin has to approve the comment. So yeah.
It looks so familiar. Yeah, this is exactly what we also use for the YugabyteDB website. We also use
Exactly.
WordPress.
Yeah.
I remember, logging into under the admin panel.
The problem with comments is that there are a lot of spams, so people usually disable it in many enterprise blog. And I'm coming back there just to be sure that my comment is visible. So if visible, the admin had to approve it, but now it is visible. I have my comment from myself there. Okay, so everything works. The only problem is that it runs on Postgres, which is good, but it's not highly available in the sense where it can fail over to a standby if there is an error. But for example, if we want to upgrade Postgres, we have to take the website down, and that can be a reason to move to Yugabyte. It's not the kind of application that has that needs a throughput in 10,000 transactions per second. So the main reason to go to an horizontally scalable database is high availability more than being able to run on multiple servers.
Exactly. For the websites, if you deploy an instance across several availability zones, also the database should be able to tolerate various outages. High availability is one of the reasons for using, let's say, YugabyteDB for WordPress deployments. Now, so what's next? You're ready to migrate to Yugabyte, or you want me to start my application first?
I will start the migration, and then we will switch so that we don't waste time looking at everything. So for that, I stop the application. And I will add a Yugabyte service in the Docker Compose. Just a service that I call Yugabyte. I copy paste. Basically, it's the latest image, the default command line to run with the Postgres parity, and the same database name and user that is used in Postgres there. And I will start it, just Docker Compose up. This starts Yugabyte, and I will start the migration. I have all the commands there. I suggest that I run it, and later we will come back and see exactly what happened there. I'm just running it so that it is running in the background. It is looking at the Postgres schema, doing also a report about what is compatible or not, and it can take a few minutes. So
my friends, the commands, the migration commands that Frank has just studied are for YugabyteDB Voyager. This is, if you have never heard about this tool, I will show it to you, and I will show those commands step by step because I was lazy. I did not prepare an automatic script. I will be copying and pasting. So at least while Frank, so our goal was at least let's have Frank's application migration to be 100% ready, and then Denis will just copy and paste stuff, and I will show you the Voyager, right? So the WordPress migration right now is in process. So like what Frank does, like you have YugabyteDB node, you're migrating schema and data using Voyager from Postgres. And then once everything is migrated, we will do the switchover. We will switch WordPress instance to Yugabyte. But the second application, because I'm also here to do something, not just to do the talk. Let me share the screen and talk about my application for today. I will be sharing.
So you said a popular application.
Yeah, the other application that I decided to just, I went to that list of the application as a contributor. I decided, like, what would you like to pick? And I picked, literally, I tested that yesterday. It took me like 1 or 2 hours, and it took me more time to create this instruction. So this instruction is for Confluence. As a developer, I know this tool very well. I think that I use that tool like since early of my career. Like, those of you folks who don't know, once we start this application, I believe that many of you will recognize it instantaneously, because this is actually the tool that lets you to host and maintain local wikis, like local Wikipedias. Let's say you have your development team, you need to have some internal knowledge base, etc., different design architecture, different proposals, etc., etc. You use Confluence. I used to a lot it, especially, let's say, like 10 and
It has
5 years
changed
ago.
a lot the way developers are working, or developers or also in operations. For me, I've seen a big change switching from sending email to all the team and searching in the email. Instead of that, putting it in a wiki where every people in the team can update and document what is running, what is being developed.
Yeah, cool tool. It's very flexible. It's certainly it's also a mature technology, same as WordPress. That tool was released many years ago. It already was used by several generations of application developers and other technical folks. And I also know this tool because that tool was built by Atlassian, and Atlassian is the company who created Jira, and Jira, I think, is used by many more development groups and high-end and technology companies. So, how to start this one? I will be actually, folks, I will follow my steps and to see how it works. Let me close all of these tabs. So first, there are multiple ways how to deploy this Confluence. You can consume it as a service, but there is a way to start it locally in Docker. As long as I'm a Mac user, I will be following that way. First, I will start an instance of Postgres because Confluence supports Postgres. So that's my script. The script basically, I will clean an existing volume that I used for Postgres. I want to start fresh and clean. Let me increase my font size. Starting. Now let's see Docker container Postgres ls. Yeah, it's running. If like usually it takes some time to start a database in the very beginning because Postgres and YugabyteDB they need to do some initialization. But if you have never heard about this tool, Postgres and YugabyteDB has the tool called PG is ready, and that one I know that Frank you use it a lot in your scripts,
Yeah.
right? So that tool is super handy. If you're writing some automated script and you want to carry on with the rest of the logic, once the database is ready, just check PG is ready, and it said is ready. Postgres is ready to accept our connections. So what I'm going to do next, I will be using the following docker run command. So let me increase the font size. What it does, I will take the latest image of the Atlassian Confluence, and I will run it in the following. I will start the following container, and it will be connecting to my Postgres instance. This Confluence container will be running on the same network with my database instance, the same network. That's why the database connection string will have just the container name PostgreSQL. That's the name of my container. It's here. So then the password and the users, certainly for production use, much better combination at what I'm using today. Starting Confluence. Now we can probably, let's do this Docker. Let's open the UI. Oh no, I will not be able to open this UI. Probably I need to close a couple of tabs. Let's do this. Yeah, that's my Docker. So that one, yeah, it's ready. Let me see the logs. No any errors. Which means we can go and take a look at the user interface. I go to localhost port 8090. And you need to use Confluence license key. The good news is that you can get an evaluation license. So here's
It's
the
not,
link.
yeah, Confluence, like Java, is not open source.
Yeah, it's not, but at least they use Postgres and
Yeah.
they have written for Postgres. So this is the evaluation key that I generated yesterday. And next you need to deploy, you can deploy just a single node instance of Confluence, so you can deploy a clustered one, multi-node, and I think this one is the best for Yugabyte. This is why, let's say, Confluence might need to use YugabyteDB from both scalability and high availability standpoint. But today, as long as I'm doing a simple experiment, let me start a single node instance. It will take some time, actually. It takes some time. It might take up to a minute to start the database. If I check the logs, not this one. Where is my Docker? It does something. So Frank, while we are waiting, let's get back to you.
First,
Like,
we have
what
a
do you see on your
question.
screen? Okay.
First, we have a question. In my screen, it's finished, but let's take this question first from Deepak. Hi, Deepak. Does YB Voyager also migrate users and roles as part of the migration? Here, I'm using only the schema migration. I think we do not do users. I don't know exactly about roles. Maybe you know better, Denis. I will check internally and answer. Usually people want to move the schema and maybe we'll create different users when consolidating in Yugabyte.
Yeah, that's. I don't think that we migrate those users, at least as of now, because even during the migration process, we always, for instance, today when I will be doing the migration, I will not be. I will be using, the Postgres default account to migrate
Yeah.
schema and data from Postgres. But usually this is considered an anti-pattern, and when you will be walking through the steps of the YugabyteDB Voyager documentation, you will see that the Voyager team encourages you to create a dedicated role for the migration on the Postgres end and YugabyteDB end, which means that that role is highly unlikely that it will be able to migrate other roles and other set of permissions. But
and usually when you have validated the application, then you create the users and you can start with a PG dump from Postgres and run it on Yugabyte. I mean the DDL is compatible, so it's easy to take it from PG dump. Yeah.
Okay. So Frank, let me also before we get to you, let's do this.
Yeah.
My application is ready. Let me share it, and I will start the migration process, and then we will get back to
Perfect.
you. So where is my screen? So this is what we see. Now you can start your empty site, Confluence, and fill it up, or you can use the example one. This is exactly what I want to do. So this one will populate some dummy data into the database. So configure user management. Okay, let me configure admin is going to be me, dmagd at yugabyte.com, password, just password. And we are doing next.
So if people are too shy to ask questions on the chat, they have our email, but always better in the chat or community Slack because then it is shared.
Yep. Okay, setup is successful. And now I have a local instance of Confluence, the latest one, running on my tiny laptop. I'm creating a space, Yugabyte. Everything runs in Docker. It's not super smooth because I still have limited resources. Let's skip tutorial. And let's create the very first page. Let's call it the Postgres page, and leaving something like Postgres is a general purpose database. Okay, let's publish it. And I think that many of you have already recognized this interface. Let's publish the page, and then you can see various pages that your team creates. You can check analytics, you can leave comments, and agree. Cool. It's ready. It's ready. Now, let me also start the migration to Yugabyte. To do that, you can deploy YugabyteDB the way you like. That's a step-by-step instruction. I will deploy YugabyteDB same as Frank locally, but I'm not using Docker Compose. I'm just executing this raw Docker command. Another perspective for you. Let me start a YugabyteDB node. Up. No, it doesn't listen to me. Okay. Cool. And Voyager, for Yugabyte, same as for Postgres, you have this PG is ready. This command will use docker exec to connect to my YugabyteDB node container. And inside of that container, we will have the Postgres directory because YugabyteDB is built on Postgres. And under the Postgres, we have PG is ready, the same tool that you can use to validate the readiness of your database. Yeah, it's also ready to accept my connections. So which means that I'm ready to move forward with Voyager. With Voyager, folks, those of you, as I promised, who don't know, Voyager is one of our products. It's fully free. Just download and use it the way you like. And with Voyager, you can migrate your data from Postgres, different flavors of Postgres, such as Amazon RDS, and then from Oracle, MySQL to YugabyteDB. So this is the goal of the tool, to help you lift and shift your applications from one of these databases to your YugabyteDB clusters. Now, let me also start the migration process because it involves several steps. First, I will create this export dir, and this is what Frank did in his script. So this export dir will be used by Voyager to keep all the schema, all the data logs, and some other information related to the migration. And after that, what I will do, we would need to migrate schema from my Confluence deployment with the following export schema command. Then I will analyze the schema, I will show it to you, and then I will export data. So let's do the export step first. I'm starting the export of the schema. And I'm turning over, it said that the schema files has been exported, but it's still doing something, which means that I want to hand over the screen and mic to you, Frank. Let's see what's happening on your end.
So mine has finished all the steps, but I will go back to the beginning to show exactly what happened. If it's not too long. Okay, so that was my Docker command where I have started we have an image with Voyager. That's the latest one. And first I did like you did before the export. I did an access migration that looks at the source database to see if there is anything that maybe we do not support, and then it will tell it in the assessment report. So I've run all that. So this is the access migration. I disable it also, but we have the possibility that the assessment will look at the performance, the ongoing load on the source database to give some recommendation about the sizing of the target YugabyteDB cluster. Here, I'm not running the application, so I disabled it. Basically, it gathers all metadata and provides an assessment report in HTML and JSON. Sorry.
Yeah, different formats. And also, this report is can be displayed on the YugabyteDB UI, that free user interface.
Yeah. And we try to give you some clues about the migration complexity. For example, if you have a lot of PL, PG, SQL, and you migrate from Oracle, then it will tell you, may not be so easy to do. It looks at the schemas, it looks at the sequences in case something is not supported. It lists the unsupported features. So here I have no objects with those unsupported features. Currently, we do not support GIST indexes. I have no GIST indexes. So everything is listed about unsupported. And I see that we have also a question from Muhammadu. Hi, Muhammadu. The question is, what about extensions, if there are any extensions used in Postgres? And that's part of the assessment. It looks at the extensions that may not be supported. So in my case, I don't have them because the WordPress for Postgres doesn't use any Postgres extension. But basically, it will tell you if there is an extension that is not installed by default on Yugabyte, and then you have to look first if this extension is compatible with Yugabyte. Basically, extensions that are at the SQL layer can be installed on YugabyteDB. Those that are at the storage layer, that's different. So about
And the same, yeah.
extensions,
And
the best we can do is telling you, be careful, you have this extension installed on the source, look at the usage.
yeah, if also if this is related to Voyager, to the migration, Voyager during the migration will take a look at the list of the extensions that you use on Postgres. At least Voyager will do its job. And if Voyager will say, all right, you need this and that extension is supported by YugabyteDB by default, it's already installed on YugabyteDB, it also will be enabled. If there is some other case, like Frank discussed, that at least Voyager will highlight this to you.
Yeah. So basically, everything is compatible because we have a very good compatibility. And then the next step was exporting the schema. We didn't reinvent everything. We use what exists with Postgres. For example, when we migrate from Postgres, we use pgdump. When we migrate from Oracle, we use Aura to PG. So we use what exists and just enhance it for YugabyteDB purpose. Also, should mention that here our goal is just to test the application. So we do an offline migration. I stopped the application before, but we have also the possibility to do an online migration where it does mostly the same, but it can also catch the ongoing changes with logical replication. So there are many possibilities. And then, so you have all the create statements there. I will go fast on those one. You have always lists that summarize what is migrated. And at the end, I run an analyze because I started YugabyteDB with the Postgres parity enabled, which means that it has enabled all the features to give the same performance as in Postgres, and that includes using the cost-based optimizer, and the cost-based optimizer needs analyzed data. So basically here, what is running, let me just show Docker Compose PS. What is running is Postgres, Yugabyte, the application is stopped. And now I should not need the Postgres database anymore because all my schema and data is on YugabyteDB.
Yeah, let's take a pause here because so in your case the migration is fully completed. In my case, I'm halfway through. Let me now take over the screen from you.
Yeah,
I will show what's happening with our migration process of the Confluence. So now that's Docker. So what I did, so you can see here if I scroll back. So we studied together with the export of the schema. The schema was successfully exported under the following directory, and then I ran this export analyze command. This one, analyze schema, so which Frank also showed you. So this report, I just can go to my browser. Let's use this file. Yeah, like this one. And this is the list. So generally in Confluence, we have a bunch of schemas. Now we have one schema, public schema just. We have 72 sequences. We have 203 tables that are used by Confluence. We have 305 indexes. We have functions, we have triggers. There are some of the issues. It said that, yeah, like right now, alter table cluster command is not supported by YugabyteDB, and here is a link to the issue, so you can vote up. But generally, there are any blocks.
This is a bug. I just seen it, and I raised the bug.
Yeah.
Actually, probably you don't have a cluster. It's just bug in a regular expression that detects cluster, and probably your table has cluster in its name.
Yeah, okay, it's just.
I think it's fixed in the latest version. I've seen that also. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then yeah,
because like for the moment we we get the schema with a pgdump, and we look at it for the assessment. We look at it with regular expression. Probably we will build a parser on it, but yeah, it's not easy because we need to support all the versions of Postgres in the source. So for the moment, there are rules for the assessment, and you may have false positive like that.
I got it. I got it. That's a good note. That's a good note. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. So then after this analyze, also what I did in background, I executed this export data command, move data from Postgres under that export directory. You will find, where is it? Like this one. Yeah, this is the command. Yeah, export data, Voyager. So I exported all the data. All is ready, which means that I can move forward with the import phase. Now I will take that schema, the data, and move to my YugabyteDB cluster. So generally, as Frank showed, I need to follow the same steps. This is the offline migration. We do support the live migration. We have, dedicated content on how to do the live migration. But here is offline. I'm moving schema first to Yugabyte, to my locally running YugabyteDB cluster. Then I'm doing the data. I will be just, executing this in background. And then in the end, I need to finish this, import phase by refreshing materialized views, if any, and importing the last indexes. So that's the goal. So let me do this before Frank hand over the mic and screen to you. So this is my YugabyteDB cluster, just one node that runs in Docker on my laptop. I don't have any databases. If I take, and together with you, my friends, we'll start importing the schema. Let's go here. I start importing the schema. Let's jump back to the UI. Let's refresh it. Here is the Yugabyte database, and you will see that, yeah, we start importing different tables. So we had how many? We had around 200 tables. It will probably take some time, but nevertheless, let me go back to you and you show us the next steps with WordPress, because I will be, focused on the migration of the of the data.
Okay, so sharing my screen. So I said that I do not need the Postgres database anymore because everything is on YugabyteDB. So I just stop it and I will start the application. The only thing I have to do is I used the same database name, the same username, the same password. The only thing that is different is the host name. The service was called DB. My service for YugabyteDB is YB, and I will change it in the WordPress config. That is local because it's a volume for the container.
Yeah, this is how you do this, right? This is how you do this. Just stop your container, go and hack the configuration files, and you just don't need to restart it from scratch.
And that's the only thing I have to change. I changed the host. Also, I did something. By default, we start YugabyteDB on port 5433. Here, I started it. I can show you my command, or I will show you. I started it on 5032 to have the same port, just because I didn't look at the WordPress documentation. I just tried a DB port and doesn't work. So I don't know if we can change the port for this WordPress for Postgres. Maybe we can, but for me it was just easier. I can show you there my YB service there. I just mentioned the YSQL port 5432. So everything is the same except the host. I changed the host, which means that I can just restart the application, WordPress. And now I should be able to connect again there. Same page as I had before with the two commands. My command there, I can reply. I guess it will have to be approved by the admin, or no, it doesn't have. I don't know. I was not logged there, so it works
Yeah, it said that
already.
you're logged in as root. So this is what's said. You're
Yeah,
logged
yeah,
in.
because I have that in the cookie. Yeah.
But you can if you I think that if you try to log out and then if you log in with your personal account, then
But that's
that
fine.
is
I have an answer from another user, and I can see the site from there. I can edit
Okay.
the post also, just to show that everything is working correctly. Now migrated to YugabyteDB update, and yeah, it's just working. And just to show you, to prove that we are working on YugabyteDB, first I stopped the Postgres, but I think I can connect with Docker compose exec exec to the service Yugabyte, YSQL SH, which is our PSQL client, the host name, the port 5432. I think that's all. Yeah, I need to mention also the user because I know the password for the user was WordPress. And that was super secret password, if I remember in the config. I look at the tables. I have no tables because I'm not connected to the right database. The tables are in the WordPress database. I can see the tables there. If I select WP command, I don't know the schema of WordPress, but the names are self-explaining. Select start from WP command. I should see my comments there. Yeah, this is the one. The command I did when I was running on Postgres and the command when I was running on Yugabyte. And here I am on YugabyteDB, the latest version.
Exceptional, exceptional. And it took how much time? It just took us less than 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Considering back and
and
forth.
the assessment take times also because it's something you run just to be sure. This is not downtime. I mean, the assessment you do it once on a copy, and when you know that the schema goes, then either you do an online migration, and then the downtime is just the time to switch, stop the application, switch, and go it. So here we are doing it in the slow way just to show everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I remember that in the past whenever we discussed Voyager or did any demo, some of the folks would ask, yeah, like, but what's about online? I just want don't want to have I want to have minimal interruptions. Yeah, the online migration right now for Voyager is supported for both Oracle and Postgres if you're moving from those databases. So
Yeah.
the option exists if you need this. But today we just want to show you the simplest way forward. If you're okay to stop your application for, let's say, 30 seconds or 1 minute or whatever the time it takes to move your data.
The idea of what we are doing is really to check that the application can be migrated to YugabyteDB without changing the code, without effort. So if there is something that is not compatible, like an extension that we don't have, you want to know that immediately. So the assessment is something that you want to run immediately. When you did all that, and when it's time to migrate the production, then you do it differently.
So that's super fun, and I truly appreciate this. When this is when you take those well-known and big, large applications such as WordPress, and those types of apps are the best validation of your Postgres compatibility. It's like, yeah, you want to validate how compatible we are. Just you can run WordPress on Yugabyte, and you will see that even WordPress works out of the box. We will. I think that we will spend some time talking about this PG parity because you use the PG parity flag for
Yes.
YugabyteDB to enable the latest optimizations that we introduced to the database engine. And starting mid-September through October, we will be announcing and sharing more details about all of those optimizations that include cost optimizer, like bitmap scans, parallel queries, and many more. Like a lot of the stuff was done so that the performance gap between single node YugabyteDB instance and single node Postgres instance is just like comparable. In the meantime, let me get back to my migration process, because for me it takes more time, which is fine.
You had more tables also.
I have more tables. So right now, let me show you what I did. Well, while we were looking at the final result of your migration, my import schema, was finished, completed. Then I imported all the data into the YugabyteDB cluster. I executed this command. And right now I'm running this last command that refreshes materialized views, but I don't think I have. But also that last command applies the indexes, some of the secondary indexes. So like if you take a look at the execution of this command, you can see that I'm creating a bunch of indexes.
Can I share my screen 2 minutes to show you something?
Absolutely. So here is also, I can show you guys, like I'm keep counting. Once, let's say the number gets to 550, all the indexes will be migrated. So it will take time. That's why, Frank, let's go back to your screen.
Yeah. Because if you look at what I've run, you can see that before the import schema, I did change all create index to create index non-concurrently. And that's the trick. When we create index, by default, it's an online creation. And it takes some time just because it waits 1 second after the index creation to be sure that the change in the catalog has been refreshed on all tablet servers. So it's not slow by itself. We add a 1 second wait, and 1 second is just because it waits that an heartbeat goes to all the tablet server. And this is why the create index is slow. Usually when you create an index on a big table, you don't care about 1 more second, but here you are creating indexes on very small table and a lot of them. And you can run the create index non-concurrently, which means that you cannot do that if other sessions are modifying the table, but here you are doing an offline migration, and then it's totally safe to create it non-concurrently, and it doesn't wait this 1 second between them. So I added it in mind, even if I don't have a lot of indexes. That's the kind of optimization you can do if you have 100 of indexes. And yeah, probably I will either create an issue or discuss with
Actually,
the colleagues. That's something that
this.
we can do on maybe as an option on YB Voyager. If you are offline, you probably want to create indexes non-concurrently.
That's cool. That's cool. I didn't know that. The index non-concurrently, the default. Okay. You know, the name of this parameter is a little bit confusing, because in fact what it does, the create index non-concurrently will be building indexes concurrently, right? But
yeah,
why
the
the
thing
name
is
of this
that in Postgres, the create index by default locks the table. So it's not concurrent. And in Postgres, you can do an online migration by saying create index concurrently. And here in YugabyteDB, because high availability is the most important, we do online creation by default. And then to disable it, we have added non-concurrently on it.
I got it.
Yeah, I don't really like the term concurrently, non-concurrently. It's the Postgres one. For example, in Oracle, you have create index online or not. Non-concurrently, it means that you tell the database that you will not update the table concurrently while it is creating. So it doesn't have to backfill the ongoing changes. It just read the table, create the index, and doesn't care about any concurrent change because you told the database there are no concurrent change, and it is faster, of course, than doing it and synchronizing the concurrent changes.
Okay. Yeah, this is good. This is good. This is an excellent piece of information. Cool. Now,
And that's for migration, but also if you have a lot of indexes to create and you are not creating, if you have a lot of indexes to create, it's probably the application is not running. It's not because you decided to create an 100 of index. So then probably you can do it non-concurrently. Yeah.
Exactly, which is my case. Which is my case. Yeah, because right now I don't use this application even though I could, but I have how many? Like this is the total number of tables. Why it shows the tables? Because here is if you go to the YugabyteDB UI, this secondary indexes they're also tables. Like they're LSM3s, right? It's an LSM3 structure on Yugabyte, and this is how it looks like. We keep creating those. If I keep refreshing, a little bit is left. So what we can do in the meantime, let's say, as long as this is like that offline migration, let me just go ahead and stop my application. I will just prepare my application for the YugabyteDB cluster. I will stop the Confluence container. I don't need to destroy it. And Confluence, let me open another tab. Where is it? Let's do this split vertically. CD Confluence data. So here is the volume. This is the directory that is used by my Confluence container. And this is the configuration file that I need to adjust. And then I can restart the container. You did the same, but for WordPress, which has a little bit different configuration. So let me open that file in Visual Studio Code, which has a nice editor. Here, what do we have? I need to find the database specific settings. Let's call Hibernate. So we have this database URL. We will continue using the Postgres driver, but my YugabyteDB node container name is YugabyteDB node 1. That's why we just go ahead and replace this name, YugabyteDB node 1. I'm super slow. And the port number, Frank, you changed the port number. I decided, oh, yeah, you used the same port number.
I changed it because I didn't find the configuration to, to put another one.
But that's a good example because sometimes you don't even need to change that. You just can start YugabyteDB. Why YugabyteDB runs on a port number 5433 and not 5432? Because we just don't want to conflict with Postgres if it, runs in parallel nearby. But the port number is 5433 and the database name is Yugabyte. So this is the database name, Yugabyte. This is where all the data is being imported right now. So this one is done. So this is the connection string. Then the username is Yugabyte and the password is Yugabyte. So that's all we need to do. We need to click the save.
And I see that connection isolation is 2, which is read committed, if I remember well. And that's one thing that is enabled by default when we use the Postgres parity, because Postgres by default runs in read committed. YugabyteDB runs also in read committed.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Cool. Yeah, this parameter. So this is Hibernate, typical Java ORM.
Yeah.
And yeah, so right now, folks, you know that Confluence is written in Java. Same with Jira. Okay, so that one is ready. Let me just do the cat just in case to make sure that Visual Studio Code saved all of my settings. Yes, I have Yugabyte. And now we need to wait. We already ran out of time. But what I can try to do, I'm importing indexes right now. I can do that rookie step and I can start the container and see how it goes, right? Because some of the queries might be running slower because all the data is already here. Yeah, let's do that. While we are waiting for this migration to be over, we are just migrating the indexes right now, and I think it's okay to start.
There is not a lot of data, not a lot of rows, so yeah, should work.
Yeah, let's start it. Start selected.
And here you can do that because that's the advantage of create index that is by default concurrently. You can run the application while the indexes are created.
Yeah, here you go. There are always trade-offs, right? for using one option and another. Yeah, which just mean like at least like it takes much more time for me to create those indexes, but at least it's safe to start the application. The point is that the application might be running a little bit slower, especially in the beginning.
The main thing about the why we do differently the create index in Postgres, mostly all DDL will take an exclusive lock in the catalog. So you can run it online in the sense where the application can run, but the application will be blocked by the exclusive lock. And with YugabyteDB, we try as much as possible to have only scalable components. Everything we do must be scalable because you move to YugabyteDB to get this horizontal scalability. If you acquire an exclusive lock, you cannot say that you are scalable, and you cannot say that you are highly available because the application cannot just make any progress during the creation of an index. That can take long. So this is why everything we build must be scalable. And that's also a reason why some features are not yet implemented. I'm thinking about the listen notify or the PG advisor, because we need to implement it, but in a scalable way. And when you are on a distributed system, there are a few things that must be done differently. And then we need time to do it, and we need time also to see how the application use it, how the customers use it, to be sure that we implement it in the right way to be scalable for the applications.
Excellent. All those are excellent points. Excellent points. Keep folks that in mind. This is what you can learn from Frank. Take advantage. Take advantage. So what I see from the logs, that luckily I don't see any errors. It looks like everything has started. If I go to the migration, I'm still migrating those indexes. But what if I refresh this application UI? I think that in the beginning, I remember that it would take more time for Confluence, to bootstrap. But if I go to, what if I go to my database performance, live queries, you can see some of the queries that are being executed by Confluence. It sets the application name parameter to Postgres. It opens, some connections. It does something. The slow queries doesn't, necessarily mean that the query is slow, but basically it captures the execution time for some of the queries. So this is, I don't know, let's pick any of them. Those are indexes. You can see that we are still creating some of the indexes. And this is a query that was executed by the application, like this one. This is how it looks like. Relation name, OID, like all that stuff is internal. This is the Postgres catalog. You see? So there is no way you would probably run on another database. You will not be able to launch Confluence on another database that is just feature compatible with Postgres, because feature compatibility is not related to runtime compatibility. But YugabyteDB it's like Postgres. It uses the Postgres system catalog, error codes, etc. So this is what's being executed right now. Is it still refreshing? Yeah.
Can you go back to the slow statements and search? There is a search box. Search for backfill, BACK.
Yeah. What does it mean?
Just because we were talking about the creating the index concurrently, what happens is that there is a backfill of the indexes while the application is running, and this is what is slow. You don't see that with creating indexes non-concurrently. The way we do it is with an internal command that is visible there, because sometimes to troubleshoot you want to see the detail of the time. This just says that the index that has been created is backfilled with the latest changes. There are not a lot, but there are none of them, even if you don't run the application. But I was just mentioning that about the creating indexes. And it's also a good idea to look at those slow queries. You can have the same querying pgstat statement. That's an extension we have in YugabyteDB. It's a good idea when you run the application, migrate to YugabyteDB, even if from a user point of view, everything looks like it works correctly with good response time. It's not a bad idea to look at PG statement just to see if some statements are normally slow, that you don't feel it because it's only 1 second. But always good to look at it just in case before going to production. So you want to be sure that the application works, that from the end user, the performance is okay, but also be sure that your plans are good, scalable. If you have a doubt, you can do an explain on it, just to see maybe better indexes. We have the same indexes in Yugabyte than in Postgres, but there are cases where it's advantageous to create more indexes, more covering indexes, especially if it is distributed. So always good to look at the queries and the slow queries.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. So still, yeah, it takes, it loaded. You can see that, yeah, right now I'm running on Yugabyte.
Yeah.
So this exception, what it means, like transaction for the clock table write not found. Yeah, probably that was something due to the concurrent run and we re-executed. But generally, I'm still running this migration, folks, but the application is already running. It's cool. So this is the page. Remember the page that was created while Confluence was running on Postgres. Now let's go to this page. It's here, and now I can, post a comment like, what is still loading? Hello from Yugabyte. Save.
Also, the creation of the indexes takes some resources. Yeah, perfect.
Oh yeah, like it's this is not a demo for. That's another performance demo. I'm running on my laptop and Docker, etc. But still, folks, still, I think that it will take us probably like one more extra minute. If I go to the databases, yeah, let me refresh because it's about to finish. Yeah, 549. Yeah, we migrated all the indexes. We created triggers. Probably that's why it was not a good idea to start the application before the step is over, because there are triggers. All right. Hopefully,
I don't like the name of the trigger. Trigger denormalize content. Wow.
But cool. So what we did, so two applications. We migrated WordPress from Postgres to Yugabyte, and we migrated Confluence also from Postgres to Yugabyte. It took us, let's say, 30 minutes to migrate WordPress and almost an hour to migrate Confluence, but still, folks, it's manageable. Confluence, I think that if you take a look at these queries, you still, even though like the application works out of the box, the lift and shift experience is here for Confluence, I would still probably take a look at their PG parity capabilities. So you want to achieve even much better performance. I would review the schema and I would probably update some of the indexes. But nevertheless, you don't need to rewrite Confluence from scratch. It was written for Postgres, but now it works on YugabyteDB out of the box. How you like it?
Cool.
All
And
right.
the goal of this challenge, listing 100 of application, is also the one big reason why we are open source is to get feedback from the community, from users. So the best way to be sure that we are compatible, that there is no some little features that doesn't work, that work in Postgres and doesn't work in Yugabyte. The best way is to have more and more users, open source users, trying to migrate application and telling us, oh, I migrated this application, I had this problem, I had something to work on, and then we can improve it and go to 100% compatibility. That's the big thing, having a community, an open source community and open source users.
Exactly. So right now, folks, Frank and I, did this heavy lifting, like sort of heavy lifting for these two applications. And now we welcome all of you to join this Postgres challenge. Just come to our community, say hi and pick an application you would like to move, because there are different prizes, including cash prizes. So the last minute, if anyone has any last questions, and then we will close the stream and meet next time. Right.
And also, if you run an application on Postgres that is not listed there, it's always interesting to know. For example, I had recently a user on the Yugabyte forum mentioning that he was running OrTank, which is an application for hospital images, I think. And I didn't know about it. It's an open source application used in many hospitals, running on Postgres. And this user just tried to migrate it to Yugabyte, and it was working. It had just one thing to work around because of a bug that is now fixed. So that's also why it's good to have this feedback from the community. Even if you can work around an issue, better that we know the issue and then we fix it.
Exactly. All right then. Thanks everyone for joining, and stay tuned. Stay tuned for the new episodes. Bye bye now.
Thank you. Goodbye.